All right, I have a confession to make. I can't hold in anymore. All right. So Donald Trump called me because I'm done. All this old MAGA stuff is about to be in the trash, about to be burnt. So Donald Trump called me, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how that phone call went. Because apparently there's this black book, and the president have access to this black book. It has every black person's phone number in this book, and he stumbled upon my number, and he called me out the blue and said, "DeAndre, I want to pay you to support me," and I have the proof right here. Here's a check. I'm gonna show you a check in about 10 seconds. He said, "I'm going to pay you to support me because I need black support." Now, everybody know that he don't like black people, but he needs to get black people to pretend as if we're Trump supporters. So he said, "You're going to put out some videos. We're going to push these videos out. They're going to get millions of views, but I need you to pretend as if you're supporting me. I'm going to, pay you." Here's a check. Here's proof. Bank of Trump right there. Okay. Here's a date. As you can see, his signature is right there. Donald Trump right there at the bottom. Paid to the order of DeAndre Rippey Coon in parentheses, because everybody know my nickname is Coon. Look at this amount. 25 cents in food stamps. Now, I'm fine with that. That's what we agreed upon. 25 cents in food. I'm fine with that. But here's the problem that I have. That's the reason I'm putting this video out. I just found out how much more some black conservatives that are paid to support Trump, that are pretending to be Trump supporters, are getting paid. Craig Lowen's getting paid 37 cents in food stamps. Topher, 43 cents. Hello? Seriously? Brandon Tatum, David Harris, Michael Hawker both get paid over $2 in food stamps. Candace Owens getting paid $4.77 in food stamps. And the problem that I have now, I get it. These people are way more popular than I am. I understand. They're way more popular than me. That's fine. But what Donald Trump told me is that it's going to be equal pay across the board. Equal pay. How you going to be? You're sexist. You're not supposed to pay Candace Owens more than all the guys. What kind of nonsense is this? I'm not for all the, he's inauthentic. And I'm pretty frustrated. You can tell that this is a real check because the check number is down at the bottom. This is a real check. Michael Chase signature is right there. And I'm very frustrated. I mean, obviously, there's no such thing as a black conservative. We all know that there's no black independent thinkers. We are group collective thinkers. We all vote Democrat. Duh. So I'm done with all this silly stuff. I can't pretend as if I'm supporting Trump anymore. I'm done with all this MAGA nonsense. I'm so frustrated with this stuff because he's paying them more in food stamps than he's paying me. So I'm just going to say it. Kamala Harris for president 2024 to 3034 because she's the greatest presidential candidate we have ever had. Because she did everything that she accomplished. She did that one thing. Exactly. It's all that stuff. That's what I'm saying. Kamala Harris is the best. Look at, I can't think of anything right now because I'm so frustrated with Donald Trump with this stuff. But Kamala did that, that thing. Yeah. See? That's what I'm voting for. Boom. I'm done with all the silly stuff. MAGA out. Kamala in. Yes.
So, the powers that be, George Clooney, Barack Obama, and other Democratic elites, have successfully replaced Joe Biden with none other than Kamala Harris, someone who's done next to nothing during her tenure as vice president. And the fake news media, who's been in on it since day one, is working overtime now to rebrand her as this competent, likable leader. Okay.
This is the kind of thing that is playing out all over conservative media. I just want to do a little bit of record correcting. There's not record crime right now. Number one, Harris was put in charge, as you said earlier, of combating the roots of immigration. She was not and is not the border czar.
And the Biden administration did task Vice President Kamala Harris with the issue of migrant crossings, naming her the so-called border czar.
I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks stemming the migration to our southern border.
We've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
All righty. So they're in full shill mode, ladies and gentlemen. They're lying about her record, glossing over her failures, and trying to make her appear likable and competent. Make no mistake about it, though. This is all part of programming. They're trying to program us by feeding us this narrative they want us to believe. But don't fall for it. Let's keep it real. Kamala Harris is not likable. She's not competent, and she's certainly not the savior the media wants us to think she is. Watching the Democratic machine work to shove Kamala down our throats is really quite something to see. The rhetoric and the propaganda over the next 3.5 months will be insane. what they're doing now goes beyond media spin into the area of intentional dishonesty. And they know there's no escaping the horrible job that Biden's done, that Kamala's done, not only with the border, but the entire country. And now the media has the audacity to try to get you to vote for her because she's Black and a woman. It's downright demeaning if you ask me. This isn't about merit or qualifications, not anymore. It's about checking off boxes on diversity forms. Voting for someone based solely off of their race or gender is a slap in the face to every voter in the United States of America. We need leaders who are competent, who have proven themselves, not ones who are propped up by identity politics. The left's race-baiting tactics are transparent and insulting. They're trying to guilt trip and manipulate voters into thinking that opposing Kamala is somehow racist or sexist. It's the same old playbook, and it's infuriating. Oh my goodness, it's sickening, honestly. But not everyone's fooled by this BS. People are waking up and seeing through the facade. They're not buying into the narrative that the media is desperately trying to sell us. Even within the Black community, there are voters who are saying enough is enough. They recognize that Kamala's track record is abysmal and her own identity alone is not reason enough to support her.
Who within the last few years have left their old party and are now voting for Trump. Latina Brown and Madeline Brame. Madeline, good to see you. We'll start with you. You know, she's been vice president for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Obama was president for 8 years as a Black man. So is playing the race card here really a smart strategy?
You know, thank you so much, Laura, for having me once again on your show. It is absolutely the most silliest thing that they could possibly do, because most African Americans know that the illegals' benefit card is worth more than our worthless Black card. So why would we care about who Kamala Harris is, about her race or her gender? We care about the policies that she has pushed with Joe Biden for the past 3.5 years. We are struggling. We can't even make ends meet. You talked about retirement earlier. I have to work till I'm 70 years old in order to get my full retirement. So, you know, no, Black America is not supporting Kamala Harris, all right? Her color has nothing to do with the failed policies that she has championed and stood on for 3.5 years.
Now, people have called Kamala the DEI candidate, but Democrats, they don't like that.
Whenever you hear DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. I want you to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
What?
Latina, when you hear DEI, think of the N-word? That's where they are. That's it.
They are reaching big time. That right there goes to show you that they're pretty much running out of ammunition right now. When they've gone there, they're done. Golly.
Well, you know, Laura, thank you for having me on. I just want to say this. The Democrats are full of crap. And I think that they know that the American people can see through the crap that they're pushing and circulating out there to the Black community. If anything, the Democrats, they're the ones who are sowing division in the community, in this country. They're not about uniting everyone together. They're about themselves. They're about power. They're about division. They have their own agenda in place, and this thing has been in the works for years. It's just that now it's coming to light, and people are starting to wake up. They're opening up their eyes. And I'm going to tell you something. The Black community, we will not support her. Nope. You know, they can try to race bait us. Nope. They can try to push the gender agenda. In our community.
And speaking of that, Latina, speaking of that, I got a place because they're starting this pressure campaign for any Black person or minority who is not considering voting for Kamala.
You're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color, but really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side.
All right, one line from each of you. Madeline, you're going to look really weird, Madeline, if you don't support her.
You know, I'm not paying her no mind. You know, I'm not supporting Kamala Harris because I don't believe in the continued genocide of black babies in the womb through abortion, where she's pushing tooth and nail, even to the 3rd trimester. You know, I don't believe in that, and I don't support that, and I don't believe that most of the, especially black women in the black community, support that.
Latina, you're weird if you don't support Kamala Harris. You're weird.
Well, you know, I think, you know, that's a weird statement coming from, you know, Miss Reed. I don't think she's all there mentally. God help us all.
No, let's be nice.
No disrespect.
She's very nice. She's very nice to me in the elevator. We sometimes ride the elevator together, and she's actually a very. I said we should do something for charity, like go on the road and do some show for charity, and she said she would. So, I mean, I'm going to hold her to that. But I don't know. It just seems like a weak argument. I mean, if Kamala Harris is a smart woman who has a record to run on, then run on the record.
Yes.
Just run on it.
I agree.
To me.
But what record does she have?
Well, that's a good point. Latina, Madeline, great to see both of you. Thanks so much.
Well, I tell you, as my guy Van would say, Democrats are full of sugar honey iced tea. The reasons to not support Kamala Harris have nothing, hear me now, nothing to do with her gender, her race, or how she climbed the ladder. The reason not to vote for her is because she fully supported Proposition 47 in California, which decriminalized many crimes and then turned the state into a perpetual crime scene. The reason not to vote for her is because she is fully committed to making America completely dependent on foreign energy. She has publicly stated on numerous occasions by eagerly sharing her desire to destroy our fuel production capabilities by banning fracking and offshore drilling. The reason not to vote for Kamala Harris is that she was Biden's border czar, despite the media's recent attempts to discredit that known reality, a role she clearly did not take seriously, given the historic levels of illegal immigrants that have poured across our borders over the past 3.5 years. She is 100% in support of the policy making gender transition and the irreversibility body mutilation that goes along with it more accessible to children, while also supporting a policy keeping it a secret from parents. All people need to do is to focus on the issues, and it becomes very clear who to support, who to vote for. The results of the last 4 years are proof. The results of the last 4 years are all the proof that anyone needs.
Meta says Dems are party of hypocrites for installing Harris sans public voting process. They're not wrong. And let's not forget, this is a massive surprise coming from BLM, because Kamala Harris, back in 2020, when they were busy rioting, literally burning cities down, she was their biggest fan.
They're not going to stop. And this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
And they should not let up. Okay, yeah, just keep burning America to the ground. This is so called for. So it's very surprising that here we are 4 years later, and even BLM, these Marxists to the bone, people who literally were just rioting through America in the name of George Floyd and the injustice done to Black Americans throughout the ages, they themselves have called out the Democrat Party for being undemocratic.
Like you said, I can't believe we're all sitting here saying, yeah, BLM, I know. You're on the money. I mean, normally they're more proficient at, burning cities than making acute and astute political observations. But they said, quote, "We do not live in a dictatorship." Now, I thought it was Donald Trump Who was the dictator?
He's supposed to be the dictator.
But the BLM movement, they're saying of the Democrats, we don't live in a dictatorship. Delegates are not oligarchs. Installing Kamala Harris as the Democrat nominee without any public voting process would make the modern-day Democrat Party a party of hypocrites.
Never thought I'd see the day where I would agree with a statement from BLM. But it seems like even they can spot a coup when they see one. The Democrats talk a big game about democracy and the will of the people, but when it comes down to it, they don't care about your vote. They only care about maintaining their power and control. BLM is demanding a virtual snap primary, and honestly, I see their point. This process should be democratic and not dictated by party elites. It's outrageous that Kamala Harris is being handed the nomination without any input from the voters. This is the party that's supposed to stand for democracy. And anyway, replacing a candidate with an even more unlikable one, with a woman who hasn't really done much, and the things she has done, the policies she was behind, they were all disastrous. And not only that, but handpicking a candidate who received no votes, doing that, doesn't that kind of show that Harris actually was selected solely on race and gender? That she actually is a DEI hire, selected to appease the woke mob? Now, I'm not going to come out here and tell you guys that I don't think a woman can or should not be president. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. Anyone who is up for the job, anyone who has the merits can and totally should be able to reach the highest position in our land. But imagine if she wins. Imagine our first Black woman president not having won any sort of public nomination process. We've had enough empty symbolism from the Democrats. We fell forward with Obama and we got nothing from it. We can't do this anymore. Do you remember when Democrats said Trump would cancel elections? Who voted for Kamala? They're afraid to allow the people to say anything, to voice their opinion on the candidates. They don't want you to believe what you're saying. They don't want you to believe your eyes. They're going to continue to gaslight you and lie to you to get you to vote Kamala or to get Kamala elected and not to get Trump in the White House. But what stops them from not having primaries in the future? Do you think they'll stop at Trump with this whole he's Hitler narrative? All they care about is maintaining power and control over you and your family's life. But let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, drop me a comment down below. I appreciate all the love and support. Consider joining the ARP family. It supports me, it supports the team, it supports the channel. It gives us the ability to do what we do on a day-to-day basis. Keep God first in your life, stay prayed up, and I'm gonna catch up with you all next time. Peace.